What's going on, everyone? So I'm about to dive into a potential spoiler. It's my theory based on a spoiler that came out, but I want to give everyone a quick heads up that doesn't want it. I mean, the title's a spoiler, but for those that clicked on it, not noticing, this is your chance to get out now, because this very well could be a thing. It very well could happen, because it's basically my theory on a spoiler that was announced. So now chance, 3, 2, 1. All right, so there was a rumor going around that a character by the name that starts with the letter K, now that could just be a placeholder name, as we've seen a million times, even with Scream, but supposedly it's a middle-aged character that escapes a psych ward. So you're talking about a middle-aged character that very likely has a placeholder for a name, because they wouldn't want that to be a surprise or a mystery. And who doesn't think that that's not Stu Macher? Now, I'm not a fan at all of bringing back Stu. I have talked about this numerous times. But Stu Macher is a middle-aged man that, if he was alive, would probably be in a psych ward, right? If they were ever going to bring Stu Macher back, I have said this before, now would be the time to do so. If you were ever going to bring back Stu Macher, this is probably the film in order to do so. I hope that it's not. I hope that it's somebody else. I hope that it's something else. But it just kind of seems like they're going the cult route, and they might be going the Stu route, and Kevin Williamson's at the helm, and Kevin Williamson's original idea for Scream 3 was the cult route, as well as Stu Macher being the leader of the cult. So, if you've ever seen the show The Following, that was Scream 3's original script. That's what Kevin Williamson wanted to do. That's why Kevin Williamson made The Following, because he wasn't able to do the Scream 3 the way he wanted to, right? So, is this now Kevin Williamson finally getting what he wants and being able to do a movie where Stu Macher is the... But here's the thing, too. I still think, even if he's been in a psych ward this whole time, there's still a lot that needs to be explained and a lot that needs to be dived into. Right? Like, if we just have a scene where he just, is in the psych ward and escapes, right? Like, that, okay, so how come there's no mention? How come there hasn't been anything? He's just been, plotting his return? So he's just been, orchestrating this for the last 30 years? What? There's so many things, which is why I've talked about, I'd prefer the redemption arc, right? I'd prefer Stu, escaping to go help Sidney, right? Maybe he knows who the killer is, or he knows, right? Maybe Sidney gets attacked, and something happens, and there's, a marking or something somewhere, and Stu knows exactly what it is, right? And exactly who it is. And Stu's going to go try to help Sidney, so Sidney doesn't die or whatever, right? I'd rather that route. I'd rather go in, the Stu redemption route than, after 30 years, Stu returns and is now the killer again. It's so what, he's just been plotting in the psych ward for 30 years, and now took him 30 years to escape, right? He hasn't planned very well, right? This is, a real slow process here. I just think no matter how you slice it, it's a silly idea. Stu believers and Stu truthers and stuff like that, they probably don't care. They probably just want Stu in it anyway. And I think that there's enough noise to where I could see them for fan service and stuff actually going through with Stu Macher as the killer in this upcoming film, or just in this film one way or another. It feels like that, if this is the case, this is probably what it's going to be. That it's probably going to be Stu Macher, is that mystery character. He escapes the psych ward, and we all think he's the killer, or he's orchestrating it, or whatever, and yada yada. It's probably, more likely than not, that's probably how this is going to go down, if that's the case. Again, this is just my thoughts. This is just my opinion. I don't know this for certain. There's no rumor that has came out that Matthew Lillard is in this upcoming Scream movie. There's nothing that, you can specifically point to and go Stu Macher, but a middle-aged man, or not middle-aged man, but middle-aged character, right, escapes a psych ward. Why would that be relevant unless it was Stu Macher, right? Unless they Jill or somebody's alive, right? Unless they go that route. Otherwise, I mean, it makes sense that it would be Matthew Lillard, because why would we care about the... I mean, obviously they could have the story tie in, and maybe that character has a purpose or something, or maybe it's a character that was, an obsessed fan of Sidney Prescott. Maybe they weren't willing to go as far as like killing Sidney, but tried to kidnap her kid or something, right? Like, or tried to do something crazy, and it just was a weirdo or whatever. And then Sidney, he ends up getting locked up in a psych ward because he's crazy, right? Maybe while Sidney was on her book tour, and that person's been locked up for the last 5 years or whatever, and they finally got out and escaped, right? There's other ways that they can approach it and go about it. I just lean towards, if this is true, it's probably Stu Macher, right? This isn't some, 20-year-old that escaped. If it said, female, then sure, but it doesn't. It just says middle-aged, right? So, and it starts with a K. I mean, yeah, there's women names with K, but there's also, Kyle, stuff like that. I'm not saying that Stu starts with a K, but my point is just, that's probably a placeholder, right? And that being a placeholder, it means Stu Macher. It's probably Stu, and because they're not going to want that to get out, right? They're going to want that to be, Scream's best kept secret if possible. Obviously, everything kind of gets out, so it's very possible that it gets out at some point. But I wouldn't be shocked if that's what ends up happening. I'm not going to lie, I'm going to be a little disappointed, personally, if it turns out that it is Stu Macher. Because I feel like, can we just move on? Can we just go in a new direction, right? Scream 5 and 6 has been nothing but, Scream 96 and 2.0, and it's just they just keep falling into these same tracks. Let's just bring back the nostalgia. And it's can we just tell new stories? I want the Scream franchise to go on forever, right? I want them to keep innovating, keep telling new stories, things like that, right? So I would prefer if they picked a new direction and went down that path, went down that road, right? Rather than hey, let's just do the same kind of predictability over and over and over and over and over again, right? Let's do Scream, instead of it being the brother this time, let's have it be Stu and he returns. And it's just I'd like a little more creativity, especially if this is supposed to be the beginning of a new trilogy, like what's rumored and stuff. Can we start something fresh here? Can we lay a new foundation for the next 3 movies? Right? I'm all for a 7, 8, 9, but I just don't want, we can already see, it's Stu, he comes back, right? He has this whole cult following. The cult keeps him safe and keeps him in hiding, and the cult probably even breaks him out, and that's how he escapes and all. It's just ugh. It's just so predictable, in my opinion. And that's just been kind of the problem with these last few Scream movies. Again, obviously, we don't know this for certain. I want to be clear that this is just my opinion, this is just my thoughts, but based on the track record of Scream 5 and 6, I really think that this is probably what it is. Yeah. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass the question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you too think it's more likely than not going to be Stu Macher? Assuming the rumor is true. Also, the last few Scream movies have had multiple scripts and multiple kind of directions that was this leak, but it was part of the second script. It wasn't the finished script, right? So that's something that maybe doesn't actually happen. Maybe it's true right now, but it doesn't actually happen in the movie once we get through the movie, right? There's a lot of ways that this could go, but it's gonna be very interesting to see how this goes. But anyway, as always, pass the question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? I'd love to hear it. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. It's me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel. What are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.